That's so creepy that Zoom says that now when you start recording a meeting. Like, it throws me off so bad.
Big brother.
Right. Renee, do you, mother, do you need me in the kitchen helping with anything?
No, it's too late. The onions have done their damage. So we're just gonna dive right into this, guys. First off, I don't know if any of you have the tortillas that you're gonna bake your own tortillas, but I wanted to show you a really quick little, rather than using your knife, get yourself a good pair of kitchen scissors and just cut these. Which camera? Where'd it go? Anyway, cut these puppies just like this. And I'm going to throw these in the oven and bake so that we're not starving all night, or close to starving. We're not close to starving at all. We don't even know what starving means in this house. So that's just a really quick little tip on what to use. My two favorite utensils, my knife, my scissors. Okay. So Tim, if you would be so kind as to pop that. Now can I talk? Oh, I turned this off. If I mute this, is it going to mute my? Okay. Let me just. Is that it?
So we're baking these at how much? How high? What's the temperature for baking these? I can't hear you.
Feedback going on. We have a lot of feedback going on, and the camera just went down. So stay tuned. Okay, you're going to want to bake those tortillas at 400 degrees for approximately 5 to 12 minutes. You know, it just depends on your oven. I sprayed mine with Pam rather than brushing them with oil. Or butter. I just spray them with Pam. I think that works just as well as anything else. So I got to get back to my Zoom anyway, because I don't know what's going on here. Hey. My code is 0515. Okay, so sorry we're running long, but so the first thing, just chop your onion. And you don't have to be precise with this. It's just an onion, and it's just going to go in the pot. And knowing Lester, he's already got this done. He's like miles ahead of me by now. And so this is what they call, when you see them on the shows and they talk about a rough chop. That's all this is just if you're not making it perfect, you're just chopping your onion and going to town. And you don't lose a finger along the way either, so that's always good. Now, if you've already opened up I lost my sous chef. That's how Carl refers to himself. He's plugged into TV because it's Step 2 Tuesday, which means he can watch whatever he wants on TV. So one of the things I like about this recipe, this is the one when I make lunch for Step Up during the workshop. It's easy. It's a dump recipe. I can come home from work and I can just put this together really fast, really easy. And then I use a crock pot, and then it just sits in a crock pot until everybody's ready to have lunch during the workshop. So we're just throwing everything into my pot. Now I don't like corn in my chili, so I have an orange bell pepper. So just to cut it in half, and we're gonna peel that out. And then everything really with chili or a lot of these recipes is just make it your own it. You know, if you don't like corn, don't add corn. If you don't like onions, don't add onions. Lester, I love that you said you were adding meat, because when I first made this recipe, it was for chicken. And you would put chicken in the crock pot and let it cook, and then you would shred it as part of your chili.
Right.
But because there's a lot of, you know, there's a lot of risk with chicken when you're trying to deploy food to people like that. So, and I've been making it for Step Up without the chicken for quite some time because it's cost effective. Chicken is cheap, but right now it's just not one of those things that.
I added mushrooms as well as cloves of garlic. Garlic is a real cheap spice. You can use it for a lot of things.
Lester, you're a man after my own heart. I love garlic in everything. It's good for your heart. So there, ladies and gents, was a rough chop of an onion and an orange bell pepper. And did you know that orange bell peppers are just green peppers that have progressed farther along in adulthood?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So now I have I picked up no salt added dark red kidney beans. You can pick up whatever kind of kidney beans. I don't know what Kenzie got for you. But even though they say no salt, what I like to do is you're still going to drain them. And I still like to rinse them because I have high blood pressure. And so I want to reduce as much of the salt and sodium intake in my life as I possibly can. And when you use kits like this with the mild taco seasonings or the taco seasoning, there's salt in this stuff as well. So I'm looking at every opportunity that I can to reduce my salt intake. So I'm going to dump this over here and rinse it real quick in the sink. So most of you know that I was Tim's mom, and as Tim's mom, we did a lot of casseroles, hot dishes. You look for cheap ways to feed kids, especially 3 growing boys. And chilies, casseroles, these are really inexpensive ways to feed a family. The cans of chili, I think, were 69 cents a piece at Harris Teeter this week. So, and I'm doubling my recipe because Tim's here, and I'm going to send it home with him. Because that's how mamas do. All right. So I know I'm off camera, maybe a little bit. I don't know. But so here's my beans. They're all rinsed. I'm just going to dump them in, black and red together. And then one more. I have a can of black season. Like, ooh, that's exciting. So we're going to add that just as it is with all of the seasoning in it. We're not going to drain these bad boys. Okay, that's that. Sorry. I have 2 cans of mild diced tomatoes with green chilies, just dumping. I think these were probably the most expensive thing that we bought, but Mackenzie can correct me on that. Generally, when I buy this stuff, I buy it thinking that I'm going to be making a few meals for Step Up for the workshop. Oh, this was a can of vine ripe tomato sauce. So I buy a lot in bulk. And then 2 cans of chilies, because that's how we roll. All right, that's everything in there. I'm sorry, I'm off camera again because I need a spoon. All right, so I don't know if you can see this, but I have this ginormous pot of, it's a very heavy bean dish. And at this point, I would probably maybe consider adding this personal preference because mine is really thick. I don't know about the rest of you, but you can see it's pretty thick in here. I would probably add some more tomato sauce or whatever. Another can of maybe diced tomatoes just to make it juicier. So I'm going to do that because that's my preference. I'll be right back.
Renee, I gotta say, Rachel Ray has nothing on you.
I know she's yeah.
You're
So the other
nailing
thing
it.
too is if you don't have another can of tomato sauce and your chili is thick like this, there's nothing wrong with spicing it up with some paste picante sauce because really all this is diced tomatoes. So that's just an option. And I lost my can opener. Do you know where my can opener is? Hamlin, I need to borrow your hammer.
Okay, here's my can opener, okay? Here's my can opener.
Is that working for you?
A little bit.
So I'm gonna throw in another 8-ounce can of tomato sauce just because I just think it's just a little too thick for my taste. Now this recipe, you can, I think you're gonna have the opportunity to serve it over rice. You could serve it over baked potatoes. You could, we like chili, chips, and cheese. So we put our chips in the bottom and then our chili and then our cheese on top. No, chili, cheese, and chips. So chili, cheese, chips. So it's chips on the bottom, cheese in the middle because it'll melt with the chili. There we go. All right, then we have our taco seasoning that we're gonna add. We don't need the cheese yet, but thank you. Gonna add our package. Now, I'm cheating today. Usually I make my own, because that's something you can do is just combine your own spices and then you can really control yourself. So mixing that in there. And then I have, here's my cumin. So if someone could tell me how much cumin is on the recipe because it's on the other screen of my computer, I'd appreciate it. Okay, I think it's about a teaspoon. How you doing, Kenlyn? Are you keeping up? Am I going too fast?
Still trying to get the tomato pieces out of here. I'm good. I'm listening.
Okay. So, and it calls for chili powder, but I don't have chili powder. I have some chipotle powder. Now, the thing with spices and stuff is that they don't have a really long shelf life. And I remember someone, not that recipe, I remember someone saying that last week about how Americans, we buy these big containers of spices and herbs and stuff, and they really lose a lot of their potency. So if you can save your containers when they're empty and then go and get them, I think Sprouts has a section where you can get just a little bit of amount of whatever spice you need or whatever herb you need. It's ridiculous to spend, I think this is $3. I think this was $3 and it loses potency over time. So why should I spend my money on something that's not going to be that good after a while? But this is supposed that this chipotle powder actually came with one of those Hello Fresh meals. And because I tried that and I hung on to it, but it's about done. And Tim and I are the only ones that like chipotle. So we're going to go a little sparing on this because Carl doesn't like it. So I'm going to put the rest back. And then this says it's good till September 12th, 2021, but we shall see. I'm good, Tim. I think that's it. So that, my friends, is how you can put this together really fast. So beans are a very cheap, let me rephrase. Beans are a very economical way to feed your family. These cans were, as I said, I think 69 cents a piece. So, and they're supposedly supposed to feed 3.5 servings per can. So this pot is enough chili for Carl, me, and Tim tonight, and then comb the leftovers and probably eat for a couple of days. So it's really, if you have a crock pot, I would encourage you to make this in a crock pot, because the flavors when they meld together after cooking for a few hours are amazing. And it freezes. Not my favorite thing to do. It freezes, but you can refrigerate it. It'll stay for a couple of days. So I'm gonna take this buddy over here. Yes, I groan when I lift things heavy, Ben. That's okay. And then I don't know where my lid is, so I don't know where my lid is for this pot, so I am going to use a piece of tinfoil because that's how I roll. Okay, so we're gonna let that heat up. And the last thing I have to do then, ooh, let's check on my, they're getting a little well done. I left my chips in the oven for just a bit too long. They're a little dark. But they're edible. I'll eat them. Okay. There's that. And an avocado. Now, I like avocado on my chili. I like all sour cream on my chili, and I like all that kind of stuff. So how many of you know how to cut up an avocado?
Yeah.
Okay, so we're just gonna take the sharp tip of our knife, go all the way around it. Like that. Twist it. There we go. To get the pit out, you just simply take your knife with a little tap, twist, and done.
Cool.
And then this will go in my little compost bucket along with the other stuff. Then what I'm gonna do, you can have a fancy avocado knife. Really, I have one. It's just really a weird shape. I'll show you. This is your fancy pants avocado knife. See that? So you just slip it in there. And I'm slicing both ways. And there you go. How am I doing on time, Tim? How are we doing on time? I have 22 minutes left. Well then, interesting.
We can make a second batch.
I could make a second batch, Ben. Oh God, I'd feed my son for a month then. Although I have to tell you guys something that I don't know if it's well known, but COVID brought out a new side of Timothy that I haven't seen. Timothy has been learning how to cook, and he has mastered some amazing things. I mean, the simplest recipes, like grilled cheese sandwiches using, I think it was a Gruyere cheese. It was amazing, man. So there are some benefits to COVID. So there's my avocado. I put the cumin in, I put the salt in. Okay, that's all I got, guys. We're gonna let that heat up until it gets cooked through. And then we will probably have it, as I said, chili, chips, and cheese. But if you have rice, you can have it over rice. You could scoop it over baked potatoes. I mean, if Wendy's can do it, why can't you? somebody said you could put it inside a tortilla, you know, like and fry it up that way. I don't know that I would trust myself eating something like that. It'd be very messy. You can, as Lester said, you can add, well, the recipe calls for chicken, but you could do ground beef. You could do what is that Morningstar crumbles, the fake meat crumbles, if you're looking for that meaty texture. You could use dark red beans, like you could, the beans, those, you could use, what's the yellow bean? Butter beans. You could, I mean, you could spread your wings. So the thing with some of these dishes is like you could use butter beans and lima beans and kidney beans, and it probably wouldn't be chili at that point anymore, but it's still going to be good. It's still going to be filling. And with chili, one other thing you could do if you're concerned about, I'm just going to say it, being musical, is you can put a little extra baking soda in it, and that'll help kind of cut the tummy action, maybe. So they say. Never done it. I always take a risk. It is what it is. You're going to eat fiber. You're going to be musical. It's just how it is. So, any questions? Tim, I need my power cord too, please, for my laptop. Nazi? I don't know. We'll have to push it back. Okay. Yep, Tim said now is a great time for Q&A. So any Q's and A's? Who is up there in the upper right corner? Who is that? Who's that? That guy right? David.
Hey,
What are you doing, David? What are you doing?
I'm trying to.
Hey, David, you were unmuted and now you're muted.
I'll be right back.
That's what you're about.
So it's heated through. So it's going to be about 10 minutes, 15 minutes. So mine is, I can hear mine starting to boil over there, bubble a little bit. I'm going to say we're probably going to need about 10 minutes or so. But like I said, this is going to be one where if you have a crock pot, use your crock pot. If crock pots are single parents' best friends, they really are. I mean, because you can put anything in it. It'll cook all day. It'll free you up to do things. Most crock pots are generally very safe to leave, you know, set it and leave. And I'm going to move this out of my way and show you one of mine. So obviously there's a little dust on this because step up hasn't been meeting, but crock pots are they're just a single mom's best friend. So this is a newer one. It's programmed. Pretty swanky. My first crock pot was just low, medium, high. That was it. But these are just, you know, the insert comes out, so it's washable, or in my case, breakable, which is why I've gone through 3 crock pots since cooking for Step Up, because I broke one and then I lost one. So, but this is a really good way. If you have a big family, this is a good way to feed it. There are small crock pots. You can get a smaller one that's about like this big. I don't know if you can see that, but about that big, half the size of this, which is really great if you're just 2 people or even a single person, because you can, as I said, you can cook ahead, freeze it. And I'm really big on freezer meals too, because that's one way you can cook once, eat twice. And that's just, in my world, that's just a smart thing to do, because I really, as much as it seems like I enjoy this. I really hate cooking. So that's it. What are you eating, Ben? You cannot be eating chili already.
Just dump and go.
Come and go. Where's Cameron? I lost her.
I'm sure it'll be better later, but I had to give it a try.
What do you think?
Yeah, it's awesome.
Would you put chicken in it, or would you just go with the vegetarian route?
I've been trying to go less meat lately, so I
Yeah.
would probably, more beans and less meat. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I
One of the
use
things-
ground turkey, Renee.
Ground turkey is magnificent, Tadeka. It's
You
absolutely
remember we
wonderful.
discussed it, and I had to go to the store for a client to get her groceries. So I was like,
Yeah.
how about I just get
Nice.
Well, yeah. I try to be respectful. Like if I know I'm going to be cooking and Tim's going to be eating, then I will lean more towards the vegetarian. And I have found that it's not just because I prefer to do that because I love him, but it's also good for me too. Again, you know, when you're dealing with things like high blood pressure and rising cholesterol, I'm not going to say I have high cholesterol yet. It's rising cholesterol. Then you look for ways to incorporate more plant-based foods into your diet. So, but I'll be right back. Tim, can you lead? I got to stir.
Sure. Yeah, and we'll have about 19 more minutes because Mackenzie ended up having to tag in for credit tonight. She wasn't anticipating that, so she's leading the credit session, said she needed about 19 more minutes.
Hey Tim, this
Yeah.
is just to make everybody laugh real quick. Hey Renee, because this was your meal, right? I'm gonna turn my
Yes, ma'am.
camera around. I have my niece and my nephews. Look at them. Hold on. Thanks to step up down because they know I don't cook during the week like that no more.
Enrique, you crack me up. You're my favorite. Don't
Yeah,
tell the
them
others.
kids, they ready. They can't wait. Mouth watering.
So as y'all are eating and getting ready to eat, we always plan on doing a debrief the last week of the different phases and what people took out of this phase. And then I always wildly smash the time because I ask for like instead of getting the feedback that we need, it ends up being a session for us all to kind of share together. So in anticipation of me blowing it again next week, because I think I'm 0 for 4 at this point, we'd be really curious to know what's been helpful for y'all from the last 6 weeks of us doing nutrition together. Right, we had the 4 sessions where presenters came in, and then we've had the 2 cooking sessions together.
Guys, I forgot the cilantro.
Enjoyed the cooking sessions. And I also enjoyed learning more information about nutrition because I have
Okay.
high blood pressure or semi-high blood pressure.
Yeah.
But I think
So the
mine's
cooking
more.
phases.
It's my people. My family's like they all have high blood pressure. Like I was the last one for mine to go up. Honestly, I never had high blood pressure until I was in my early 40s. So I never thought I would get it because I was like, oh, I'm different from the rest of my family. But no.
Yeah. Okay, that's
There are a lot
helpful.
of factors.
So what's something you think what's something you learned this phase that's going to be helpful for you coming out of this to deal with high blood pressure?
Well, not just high blood pressure, but just how you view your diet. If you eat healthily, like you really need everything, and to go on a stupid diet is kind of ridiculous. Do you know what I mean? Like a high carb diet or a low carb diet, or so I think if you're smart and you know, because our body needs everything, but you just figure out the portions for yourself. But the high blood pressure, I also know stress can cause that too. But with foods, and I'm not a salty person either. Also, drinking is a factor. So I was drinking more during COVID. So I cut that out. I didn't cut out the drinking totally, but I was drinking out of boredom, which was so stupid, honestly. because I wasn't working. And I was just
Yeah.
sitting there and I was like, this is really dumb. And then I was getting depressed about it anyway because of not working. So, yeah, so that helps too because alcohol has a lot of sugar.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, it does. It's not a
That's
very
a lot of
nutritionally
sugar.
robust food item.
But I do like my wine, my red wine with my dinner.
Got antioxidants. So, thank you for sharing,
Yes.
Camlin. What are some other folks like? So if you look back on the last 6 weeks, maybe what's one thing that'll be different for you coming out of the nutrition phase?
Jim, I have to say that the gentleman from Duke, I can't remember his name and I apologize for that, but I appreciated the education that he gave us on food. I found it a little bit liberating to know that, like Camlin said, you can eat things and some things are really good for your body. And it's really just, there were some things he said, I wish I could recall them, but I just really appreciated what he said, and to learn to know what my body needs as opposed to what society tells me I need. You know, the food pyramid, the way it's been built, and now they're redoing that and saying that it's different and this and that, and you should eat more of this and less of that and blah, blah, blah. But I think listening to your body and eating those things that make you feel good, make you feel strong are important.
You know, I agree with you, and especially about society, and especially when it concerns women and how society looks at women. Sometimes I think it's even worse. The women on women is worse than the men on women thing in society. I don't know why, but definitely, like I had a friend and he said, I look at magazines and these girls look so skinny. He said, my daughter's just a regular size and she thinks she's overweight. He's like, what is this crap? Like, and she's a teenager. He's like, I don't want her to have to go through this. And then she doesn't want to eat certain things because they're fattening. And he's like, it's a hard deal, I think, for some kids anyway.
Yeah. Thank you both for that feedback. Other takeaways, and I'm happy to pull up the roster list and just start calling on people.
Well,
Yeah, go ahead, Tedrika.
okay, so mine may fit in with what everybody else was saying, but considering I've always beaten myself up once I learned about the obesity with my age group and that I was obese, I think kind of your eyes be bigger than your stomach is. So what I learned, or what I think I most appreciated, is just knowing you can take just small things and make a quick, simple, healthy meal versus trying to get a pack of chicken, fry it, macaroni, and so that was very helpful and appreciative.
Yeah.
You disappeared. You did that.
Yeah, that was really nice. Ben, what did you figure out at the co-op?
Yeah, the co-op is sort of like a little hidden gem in Durham, I think, and it was really cool to have Rafi sort of talk about, what they have, but also what
Y'all ain't letting me pull my blinds, are you?
also kind of like what the co-op stands for and how it supports the local economy, supports minority farmers and like small family farmers, and how you can almost like feed your family and also help almost make like a social justice statement at the same time. It's a pretty interesting way to think about food, but I actually met Micah there that week, and the place is awesome. I mean, they have so much cool food, and it's super welcoming, and just feels like an awesome gem that Durham has. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah. Micah, how was your experience at the co-op?
It was good. Sorry about that. It was good. I think I had wanted to start going there. I had to turn my stepmother on to it. She eats real healthy, so it was all right. I mean, I had a pretty decent experience. The food was good. I ate lunch. Food was good. you haven't been, you should
That's
go
great.
and try it out.
Thank you. And I think LaRonda maybe also went, or I'm trying to remember who else from the cohort also had a chance to go to the co-op.
Yes, I did. I went.
What was your experience like?
So I've known about the for a long time. Back in Connecticut, I used to visit the co-op there. And so when they were opening this one, I already knew that I was going to be interested, but I never bothered to become a member down here. But I did now, and I'm happy about it. And it's a place that my family and I have been visiting for a few years. Before the pandemic, we would go there because once a week they would have dinner specials for $3, and it was really good. And we would sit down and enjoy it. When I went to visit a few weeks ago to gain the membership, I brought my children with me, and there was a music artist playing his guitar in the front and singing, and my daughter started dancing, and we just sat down and enjoyed our time there. It was really nice.
That's super cool. Thank you, LaRonda.
And also, if you need gallons of water, I need lots of water with my baby, and it's the summertime. You can purchase jugs for empty jug for 50 cents, and they have different water filtration systems for like 39 cents a gallon. And if you get a membership, you might get a discount, maybe. But yeah, as much water as we purchase for my household, that makes a difference. And you can bring the jug back and refill it, and you don't have to pay that 50 cents again.
That's nice.
That is really cool. All right, so that's where we go. Water, groceries. Yeah, that's awesome. I'm gonna run down the list. So Adrian, what was what's helpful for you coming out of this phase, or what's something going to be different for you coming out of this nutrition phase?
Yeah, I think someone one week talked about kind of the importance of the produce that we pick. So just being able to like assess whenever you're in the grocery store, like what's good, what's not too ripe, etc. So just kind of being more mindful, so I get the most out of the things that I'm choosing, and they're not sitting around in my refrigerator or they're going bad really quickly. So that was very useful for me.
Yeah, that was super helpful, because I think I was just in a period of like, I'm going to opt out of buying these all together because they're going to go bad before I can get them. And so not being mindful of like, oh, there are different stages at which of ripeness that I can buy them. That's cool. Thank you, Adrian. Kashmir, hello.
Hey, so for me, I think I'm going to take away rinsing off like canned veggies, because I remember one week they talked about how they still have nutritional value, they're canned, but just to rinse them off will help with the salt intake. So just taking that with me, because sometimes I don't feel like getting fresh and doing all that. So that's still a quick way to have something healthy, but make it a little more healthier.
Yeah, I feel like especially like just being, or at least I would identify as a slacker when it comes to that. I'm like, no, I'm hungry now. Not like, I can't wait the extra 38 seconds. I've got to do it now. Cool. Cassandra, what was a takeaway for you from this phase, or what's going to be different for you coming out of this phase? Well,
I'm sorry, I was on mute. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Yeah. So I wasn't able to tune in actually on the Zooms that much, but I did watch replays, and I learned a whole lot about what I was eating that I thought that I was, that was good for me, but it wasn't actually I guess, giving me, I guess, the nutrients that I needed. So just like, like the foods and stuff like rinse and stuff, I never knew that. So I learned that today.
That's super cool. Thank you. David, what's a takeaway or what's something that's going to be different for you coming out of this phase?
Getting back in the kitchen. It's been a minute since I've really been in here. And I just tried my chili. Oh my God. It is so good. And I did like Lester. I added beef to mine. And then I threw in some heat because I love hot food. So I threw in a little Tabasco, a little habanero. I think one thing I would have changed, I love to fry banana peppers and jalapenos. So just getting back in the kitchen and getting used to cooking again. I'd gotten into the habit of eating out all the time, and it's not healthy, not what I was eating anyway. So to be able to come in and, we just opened a new house. We've got brand new utensils, brand new pots and pans. So
Nice.
hey, I just broke it in for the first time tonight. And I'm getting ready to go get my roommates and say, hey, look, supper's out there on the stove. So it's good to be back in the kitchen.
So
I mean,
cool.
like I said, it's been a while since I've cooked. So I'm glad to be back in the kitchen. Love it.
That's awesome. Thanks, David.
And the recipe was spot on. Wouldn't change anything.
It's proven, yeah. It's proven to be a favorite with Step Up folks.
Yeah, I
that's for
remember when
sure.
she said that she had prepared it before, I was like, that's where I knew it from. Yeah, so I was eager to start eating mine. So yeah.
I love it. Thank you, David. Kiara, good evening. It's a takeaway or something that'll be different for you coming out of this phase. We'll come back to Kiara. Lester, how about you? What's a takeaway or something that will be different for you coming out of this nutrition phase?
Lester's eating.
Mute myself here. Okay. Yeah, yeah, I'm almost doing that. First of all, I took out of it the fact of learning something without actually having to sit in a classroom, such as what happens in your gut, and all that, the importance of it, everything that's dealing with that. The second thing is cooking without having to actually go to work and cook. This is what I love. Normally, I just do certain spot stuff, real quick stuff, because of the hours that I work. But this, and one thing about the beans, talk about the beans. With a dish like chili, beans fills it up. It makes it more. And as Rachel was basically saying, you can take a little stuff as your base with chili, add beans to it, and you can feed 5,000 people with it. So that's pretty good. And the recipe, as Dave said, is spot on. I actually did go by the recipe, for the exception of adding the garlic cloves and the mushrooms, because I love garlic and mushrooms. Love them to death. Put them in anything. But the base of it was beautiful. And what I did with mine, yes, like Dave, I put ground beef in it. Something else that could fluff it up. And as a side dish, with the rice, I made a fried rice. That's gonna be a side dish.
Nice.
With bacon chips in the fried rice. What I'm gonna do with the chili is make a burrito or two or three. So that's basically going to be it.
That's awesome. Way to go, Lester. Mel, what is a takeaway or something that was helpful for you to learn this phase?
Kind of like I didn't cook before because I'm normally really tired, but also like didn't know how to do it. So like I've learned like that I have a lot of options and that it's really not that hard. And yeah, so actually cooking.
Yeah, getting past the stigma of actually doing it. So I'm really glad we all got to cook together. Thank you. Rebecca, what is a takeaway or something that'll be different for you or something you learned in this phase?
I think similar to what some others have said about being a little more vigilant about rinsing things. I think I'm pretty bad about that. I think Kashmir hit it on the head about even canned goods, who knew? But I do subscribe to frozen fruits and vegetables. And I think that's, you know, sort of the can alternative. And as far as I know, you don't have to rinse that stuff. So I'll probably stick with my frozen fruits and vegetables. They also don't rot as quick. So I'm one of those people who buys all this stuff and it just rots on the countertop. So I've learned not to do that. Let's put it that way.
That's awesome. Thank you. And our final person to share is Vaughn. Vaughn, what's been a takeaway or something that'll be different for you coming out of this phase?
Oh, okay. Yeah, I've enjoyed doing the hands-on cooking stuff, and I learned a few things about nutrition and my intestines and stuff that I didn't know before. And yeah, I like hearing a lot of people's different viewpoints on you know, nutrition and health. You know, as far as what we eat and drink, and yeah, I appreciate all the information.
Very cool. Thank you, Vaughn.
Hey,
and thanks for
Mom.
posting the chili powder thing in chat.
Yeah, I bought chili powder online because I was tired of buying chili powder that was a blend of cumin, garlic, paprika, maybe a little bit of chili powder, but you know, sodium citrate or whatever, you know. But this stuff is pure organic chili powder. That's what I used.
Awesome.
Thank you. Mackenzie hasn't called us back yet. I suspect they're still wrapping up in credit, but if you'd like, you can leave this room, go back to the main room, turn cameras off, and take a 5-minute
Hey,
break.
Tim, I have one more thing. So I heard people talk about their fresh produce going bad. So something that I've learned in the last year with your berries is to soak them in a little bit of white vinegar and water, and then basically you're washing them, and then put them on a paper towel, like on a cookie sheet, with a paper towel on top, and spread them out so that they dry individually, and that'll give you a couple more days of freshness for them. Don't use too much vinegar because then you're just basically pickling your blueberries. But that's one thing that I've learned in the last year that has helped me not be so wasteful with my fresh fruits. I don't know that it would work for vegetables, but it definitely works for strawberries and blueberries.
That's awesome. Thank you. Maybe send a link to how you have that process, and Mackenzie can include it in the recap email tomorrow.
I'll try to find it. I think I saw it on TV.
I have one more thing.
So for now, then again, feel free. Yep, go ahead,
That's
Kenley.
just, do you guys remember this? Beans, good for your heart. The more you eat, the more you fart. The more you fart, the better you feel. So eat your beans at every meal.
That's not the way I learned it.
Something similar.
Something similar, but not that one.
Yeah. I think also like the power of beans. Shirley Moore, who cooked last week, is like an actual bodybuilder, and the majority of her protein comes from beans, which is just bonkers. All right, Mackenzie's going to give us the wrap-up sign in just a minute. So again, we can leave this room, take a 5-minute break, and then we'll see y'all back for co-partner time at about 7:40.